In the spring of 2022, the tight-knit cycling community around Austin, Texas, was rocked by a crime that felt both senseless and deeply personal. Moriah Mo Wilson was a rising star, a gifted cyclist, admired by peers for her commitment and warmth. On the night of May 11, 2022, Mo's life was taken in a violent act that would trigger a nationwide investigation, a dramatic manhunt, and a trial that gripped the public's attention. Mo earned respect on two wheels. She competed in gravel and mountain bike events and had a reputation for resilience, fair play, and quiet determination. Friends remember her as generous with advice and always willing to push through a hard training day with a smile. Her promise as a young athlete made the loss even harder to accept for the community that had cheered her on. The case centered on a tangle of modern relationships. At its core were three individuals whose lives briefly overlapped: Mo, another professional cyclist, Colin Strickland, and a yoga instructor and real estate agent named Kaitlin Armstrong. Prosecutors argued that Armstrong became consumed with jealousy after learning of a romantic connection between Mo and Strickland, an emotion that ultimately exploded into lethal violence. According to reports, on May 11, 2022, Mo visited a friend's home in Austin. Later that night, investigators say Armstrong arrived at the residence. Testimony and physical evidence later pieced together a short, devastating sequence: an encounter between Armstrong and Mo, a gunshot, and Mo's death at the scene. For friends who saw Mo hours earlier, the news was inconceivable. Law enforcement treated the death as a homicide and immediately launched an investigation. Digital footprints, surveillance cameras, and witness statements became critical. Tracking phone activity and financial transactions helped authorities build a timeline of movements. As pieces fell into place, investigators identified Armstrong as a person of interest and later charged her with first-degree murder. Rather than surrender, Armstrong fled the country. She used fraudulent documents and reportedly changed her appearance, leading to an extended manhunt. For 43 days she evaded capture, traveling in Costa Rica and assuming aliases while attempting to establish a new life. Her ability to blend in and to alter her looks briefly frustrated U.S. Marshals and local authorities. A creative tactic proved decisive. Working with partners in Costa Rica, U.S. Marshals placed an ad seeking a yoga instructor. Armstrong, who had been quietly seeking work under assumed names, responded to the outreach and was located in a Santa Teresa hostel. She was arrested on June 29, 2022, and returned to Texas to face charges. Armstrong's trial drew national attention. Prosecutors presented a case focused on motive, jealousy, and on evidence linking Armstrong to the scene. After deliberating, a jury convicted her of first-degree murder. In November 2023, she was sentenced to 90 years in prison, a term that reflected the severity of the crime and the jury's conclusion about her culpability. The reverberations of Mo's death stretched beyond the courtroom. Her teammates and friends mourned publicly, holding memorial rides and tributes. The cycling community reflected on safety, privacy, and the fragility of personal relationships within small, intense social circles. For many, the case underscored how personal conflicts can have catastrophic consequences. Beyond criminal sentencing, Mo's family pursued civil legal action. Reports indicate that civil judgments or settlements were pursued to provide a measure of accountability and to secure resources for her survivors. Meanwhile, Armstrong's conviction and sentence offered a final, formal acknowledgement of responsibility. Experts who followed the case noted that jealousy is a powerful driver in many crimes of passion, but rarely acts alone. Personality traits, prior stresses, and the availability of a weapon can all contribute. The Wilson case prompted discussions about how communities, especially those built around competitive pursuits, can better support members in emotional crisis. True crime narratives often tempt us to fixate on escape plots or sensational details, but at the center of this story is a young woman whose potential was extinguished, and a family seeking justice. Mo's legacy lives on in memorials, in the conversation sparked about privacy and protection, and in a community that still feels the void of her absence. Investigators emphasize methodical work, matching timestamps, re-watching footage, and corroborating witness accounts. Each new detail helped to narrow the timeline. Community members shared small memories that humanized Mo, training routes she favored, jokes she once made, and the way she celebrated teammates' accomplishments. These personal recollections, collected in the weeks after her death, created a fuller portrait of a life abruptly ended.